Let's continue my rant about this fucking stupid case. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's just this fucking case is. I'm starting to think this is seriously some ARG kind of game. I have dyslexia, so sometimes I say words backwards and I say things backwards. Just don't mind me. I said that in the description of the last video because it's kind of what I feel like. This is some weird game that we're all being forced to play, but it's not. It's reality. Weird shit happens all the time. But what I can't seem to understand is I get the parents not wanting to have that reminder in their yard, and have it be a point of the media wanting to show up to want to record it and it bringing more attention. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. That's why I'm assuming they took it down. The very cynical side of me wants to just believe they don't fucking care, and having this beautiful girl smiling at them, knowing that she lived there and coexisted with them and was a human being in their household like they all were, must be eating away at them. But they come out last night, or the night before, whenever it was, and they take down the memorials that people put up with Gabby's pictures. And somebody had thrown a bunch of laundry baskets on their front yard. If they would have come out and picked up the laundry baskets and left the memorial, I would have been like, oh, okay, I can understand that you don't want your grass to get damaged. Haha, funny joke. All right, we're assholes, we're pieces of shit. But at the end of the day, at some point we're gonna have to sell this house because we can't live here. The neighborhood doesn't like us. So if they would have done that and just grabbed their mail and went back inside, I would have been like, all right, whatever. They're ignoring the media, and they've been doing that the whole time. It's not that big a deal. But to physically in a very emotional state. I'm not saying negatively they were pissed, and I'm not saying positively they were just incapable of handling the situation, in the sense that they are in full grief mode. I don't know their state of mind. I can only assume that must have been an emotional thing either way. Psychologically speaking, it had to have been a moment of just, I can't take this, oh my god, whatever. They're not speaking, so we don't know their mindset. Again, my last video's title is appropriate. We don't know shit, because we don't know shit. We all are speculating at this point. All we know is they were looking for him. They say they didn't find anything. People are saying he's on the Appalachian Trail. Most likely he is. Now they're saying he might have offed himself. That's the new fucking theory floating around, that everybody's like, well, maybe he fucking did. If he did, I'm going to be very upset. I hate when criminals, unless they document their shit, which there have been even YouTubers that have done it, that give us the ability to have insight into their mind. When they off themselves, I'm like, fuck you. We could have gathered so much information from you. The red flags that people should have looked for, ways that we can moderate ourselves, without the need of the government telling us, just us recognizing, okay, this is a problem, and how can we fix it? We have a cognitive ability to do that for a reason. I think humanity's just forgotten that we're fucking humans. Anyway, his parents just ripped down these memorials and these pictures, and it's very sad. I love true crime shit. I was going to school for criminal justice years ago, but mental illness got in the way, and I realized there was just no way that was going to be a thing for me. And sometimes you have to realize your limitations at the time. Not to say that in future I won't try again. Maybe I will. It's a devastating moment to see that. These are parents whose son is allegedly missing. At this point, he's wanted for the credit card fraud, but he's also a missing person, which is very fucking weird. So sure, I'm assuming the parents, to a certain degree, are very insane right now. And I don't mean like, oh my god, they're gonna do something stupid. I just mean like their world's been turned upside down. Like at no point did they think that their son was allegedly going to murder their future daughter-in-law. I don't think that it was completely planned out. I don't think Brian had any kind of inclination that he was going to go on this road trip and murder Gabby at some point. It's something that did escalate. And oh my god, my container. Oh, I don't know if you could see that. It just snapped. I hate these containers. That's why I got this box. I didn't. My boyfriend got it for me, but you can't really see it. Whatever. Anyway, again, my socials are in the description. I have pictures of shit there. I can sympathize with Brian's parents to a certain degree because I'm a human being where, yes, I might be crazy, but I don't lack empathy. I'm a very, very emotional person to a fault, to my detriment. But also, don't come out of your house at night like a bunch of raccoons and take down a memorial for someone who was going to be a part of your family, who was going to marry your son and give you grandchildren someday. That shows such a disgusting level of I'm at a loss for words because I have the misfortune of having at least one very toxic parent, and this is behavior from toxic parents. This is behavior from parents that did not raise their children correctly, and I think they coddled Brian a little too much, and they would cover up for his bullshit, and I don't think that they were very nice people to have as parents. They seem to be the kind of parents that degrade their children at a very young age, and the kids grow up with a complex. I experienced that growing up. It's not fun. And where I don't have a single homicidal bone in my body, I do not at any point in time feel the need to go out and hurt someone. Whenever I do feel angry or frustrated or feel like harming something, it's always towards myself. I'll sit and cry for hours. I will sit and seethe about what's going on, and that's all self-harm, at least mentally. You're mentally abusing yourself in essence. So I know what it is to grow up in a toxic environment, and I have a sneaking suspicion his parents were not the best fucking parents on planet Earth. And it's not excusing his behavior. He murdered his girlfriend allegedly. As of right now, that's the court of public opinion stating that, not the legal system. But the likelihood is that yes, he had something to do with her demise, whether it be he ran because he was terrified and thus neglecting in his duty to report his fiance dead, which is immoral, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt because we are all American citizens, and if we're ever in a situation where it looks like we're really fucking guilty, trust me, you would want the benefit of the doubt. So let's take a step back. For as much as we all hate this motherfucker and really genuinely believe that he is responsible, we need to understand that we don't know shit. Okay? Get it through your head. We don't know shit. We're all sitting here speculating bullshit based on what little information we've been able to acquire. We're placing our own emotions, our own experiences, whether it be with domestic violence relationships, whether it be with, again, toxic family relationships, whatever thing, we're all applying our own personal lives and our own personal strifes onto this, and that's why this case is so captivating, because here's this all-American girl who ends up dead. Seemingly, not seemingly, but literally for absolutely no fucking reason. And it's shocking. It's hurtful. I don't know these people from a hole in the wall, and I am so fucking invested in this case because I'm seething at the fact that someone could do this to another human being and have the colossal fucking cojones to, I'm so glad I'm bilingual because I can curse this motherfucker out in 2 languages, to drive her van, use her money, come home and pretend like nothing happened. Even if you're not responsible and somebody else did it and you freaked the fuck out, holy shit, okay, I get it. You drove across the country because you're a mental midget that doesn't know how to fucking function in reality. And you wanted mommy and daddy to be there, and mommy and daddy couldn't fly to you, so you flew to mommy and daddy. But go to the fucking cops. Even if it's a small town, say, listen, whatever the fuck is going on, I genuinely, this is not to be rude to you guys. I don't think you can handle this. This is a small community. We're not used to this shit. We're used to fucking burglaries at Walmart. Or burglaries, the theft at Walmart. Like, we're not used to this kind of level shit. And tell them your story. Demand to have an attorney. You have that right. You are an American citizen. And that's another thing that people need to stop doing, is shaming him and his parents for contacting a family attorney for advice. Again, we live in a country where that is your constitutional right. You do not have to speak to law enforcement. My boyfriend is a cop. Okay? You do not have to speak to law enforcement. You have the right to remain silent. Literally. They can ask you a million questions and you can sit there without fucking saying a goddamn word. And that's perfectly fine. They can't charge you with hindering an investigation. They can't charge you with obstruction of justice. They can't charge you with any of those things because you have a constitutional right to shut the fuck up. Why? So that you don't incriminate yourself. So that you don't feel pressured into saying something just to appease the person in front of you that's being presented as the investigator or the detective. That is built into your constitution. So we need to stop shaming these people for contacting an attorney. If you were in their situation, your son came home and acting weird and his girlfriend's missing, you'd fucking lawyer up too. I hope to dear God you'd lawyer up and then turn your kid in. I don't care how old that kid is. But you'd still lawyer up because most of us don't know the law that well. Me, I'm a little bit of a nerd, and I spent damn near my whole life always like studying the law, just, you know, different kinds of cases, watching cold case videos, and it always interested me how these things can happen. And that's another thing. People are like, oh my God, how can they not find him? Blah, 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 blah. There are serial killers out there that have not been found. Stop pretending like this is a fucking Hollywood movie. This is reality. We're all thirsty for information. We're all thirsty for the truth. We're all thirsty for the story of what happened because it captivated us. It drew us in. We saw our daughters, we saw our sisters, we saw our friends, we saw our neighbors. We saw all of these things in Gabby, in her family. Her parents, her biological parents, are not together. They're both married to different people. But everybody gets along. That's so fucking cool. So she had a pretty decent family dynamic. We know fuck all about Brian's family dynamic. According to the sister, she's no longer speaking to the majority of her family, including her parents. So that's a shit show of a fucking family. And I can relate to that because I came from a shit show of a fucking family. And let me tell you what a shit show of a fucking family does in a crisis. Stupid shit. That's what they do. They do stupid shit. They come up with cockamamie fucking situations that think that they can solve the problem, and then when the problem gets worse, somehow it's everybody else's fucking fault. That's what happens. And that's what I believe is happening in the dirty laundry house. And anybody that wants to spend a couple bucks at their local dollar store down in Northport and decorate the front lawn with some fucking laundry baskets. Keep that coming, because that was fucking priceless. So long as you're not destroying property, maybe try to line it up on the street as best as you can. Maybe if the neighbors across the street are willing to do it, you can put it in their yard. The reality is these people are eventually going to have to move. The neighborhood is not going to want these people there. They're going to always feel like, you know what, if they don't find your son and then years from now they find him, this shit is going to turn into a shit show again. And no, they're going to have to move. And if they genuinely had nothing to do with the disappearance of their son, and they genuinely have no idea what their son did, and he made, because that's also a possibility, he could have made up a story to them and they believe it because it's their son, and he's a pretty darn good liar. So we don't know. Again, last video, we don't know shit. We're all speculating. We're all assuming. We're all sitting here saying, well, what if, and how's that, and blah, 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 blah. We don't know fuck all. And I think the sooner everybody realizes that, the sooner we can actually start to say, okay, we don't want this case to die at all, because some sort of resolution needs to happen. The FBI needs to come out at some point and say, okay, this is what happened to Gabby. If they have concrete evidence that Brian killed her, they can release some information that won't compromise the case and withhold some that only he would know, so that they can verify that indeed he is the killer. Right now they're not doing that because there's a lot of different tests that need to come back that have not come back. So they can't give a concrete answer. So instead of bumbling around and making people believe some other shit that's going to change 5 seconds later, they shut their mouths. But at some fucking point, the FBI needs to come out and say something. They were able to have a press conference when they found the remains to say that they're pretty darn sure it's her. You can come out when you get those autopsy results in a couple of weeks, and you can tell us exactly how the fuck this happened. What happened to her? Was she poisoned? Was she strangled? Was she stabbed? Was she shot? Did she do it to herself? Does it look like somebody tried to make it look like she did it to herself? All of these questions should be answered, because knowing these things will give us a bit more insight into the mindset of Brian Laundrie. I'm still confused as to whether she was buried or not. Did he bury her, or did they find her on the surface? Because if he buried her, that goes to state of mind. That goes to you knew that what you were doing was wrong, because you are now trying to cover up the situation. So you can't even say insanity. But until we know her autopsy results, right now we know it's a homicide. A homicide means nothing. A homicide is if you hit somebody with your car accidentally. It's literally an accident. Like, they jump in front of your car, you hit them, they die. That's homicide. It's vehicular manslaughter. Any death caused by another human being is labeled homicide. And there are exceptions to the rule, which is why you don't always go to jail. In self-defense cases, obviously, you're allowed to murder somebody. I want to know what happened to her. I think we all need to know. It's a morbid curiosity, but it goes to state of mind. Once you know how he took her life, you can begin to form a bit more of an educated guess as to what he was thinking, what was going on, what most likely triggered things. If he just poisoned her or whatever, it could have just been that he had it, or she did it to herself. If there's, her cause of death is strangulation, it could have been in the heat of the moment of an argument, most likely. It begins to be able to answer a couple of questions. But most importantly, he needs to be found. He needs to be found. He needs to be brought in. He needs to turn himself in peacefully. Don't make it hard on anybody. Don't, if you get caught, you little son of a bitch, don't sit there and have some kind of hostage situation. Don't be sitting there making it difficult for law enforcement to nab you. Shut the fuck up, put your hands behind your fucking back, get down on your fucking knees, and let them fucking take you in. Because you know what, at this point we have a lot of fucking questions and you've been acting a little fucking crazy. So either you need to be in jail or you need to be in a mental institution, because how the fuck does your fiance turn up fucking dead and you go into hiding? I got questions. Anyway, peace.